What's up, internet? We're doing that Monday live. Man, we had a great show last night. Recorded an amazing show. Had yesterday was just insane in total. Finally got on the boat and recorded podcast content for the podcast this week. Went out to a body of water, looking for some pike for the scavenger hunt. And while I was out there, I specifically went to this one place because I knew I was going to have really good cell phone service there. And you know, also like there's some great pike fishing available. So I go to this one spot and I recorded the interview that's on this week's episode with Bass Geek. Bass Geek is here on YouTube. He's on a bunch of other social media platforms as well. And Hank and I we had such a good conversation. You know, it was kind of a special interview too, because in a lot of ways, like Hank was a huge inspiration for creating the content and doing all of these things. One of the things that Hank specifically kind of taught me through his content was how to fish with jigs. That was a big deal. So, you know, a lot of folks, like especially when you're just getting into fishing, you look at a jig, a bass jig with a skirt, and you're like, what the actual hell is this even supposed to, you know, replicate in the water? It doesn't make any sense. Dave's with us. How we doing? Good morning, buddy. Yeah, watching Hank's videos on jig fishing really sort of kind of taught me how to, you know, get started and build a little bit of confidence, and that eventually turned into one of my major confidence baits. So very, very thankful for that. So it was really cool that I got to interview Hank, have him on the show. Bass Geek, go give him a sub if you're not already subscribed to his channel. He's got great content, super engaging, lots of fun, really gets into the technical stuff as far as how bass will set up and, you know, how to apply specific presentations. Man, that sun is still pretty bright. Oh, so yeah, you know, we're doing that Monday thing. Got to get home, edit the show. I'm going to make a little bit of breakfast. I need a cup of coffee bad. And then we're going to edit the show, get things prepped for the week. I have some tournament stuff I have to organize for the month of October. Got the slot limit tournament coming up. I mean, we're less than a month away. Slot limit tournament is on It's on October the 12th. And it's nationwide. You can fish any public body of water. Get out there, catch them. And what you're looking for is any black bass species that are between 12 inches as the minimum and 17 inches is the maximum amount. So did you make it to Somerset this weekend? I did not make it to Somerset this weekend, primarily because I had, what went down this weekend? There was something where I had to cancel plans. I think it was actually everybody else's plans in the house. I wasn't able to get out for as long as I would need to in one stretch. 17 inches isn't the maximum. I'd say it's average. Ha ha ha, badum ching. Yeah, in our slot limit tournament though, because it's nationwide, we run that slot limit to kind of in a way level the playing field. Wow, we got some freaking gems in here today. So yeah, that's October the 12th going on. I'm really hoping that we'll see some folks jump in. It's over at Fishing Chaos. This slot limit tournament is a fundraiser for BCRF. We're raising, it's an 8-hour day of fishing in the fall. Like, you cannot go wrong. Amazing. Anyway, show's going to be a good one. It's going to drop later tonight. We got Bass Geek on. Apparently, we touched a nerve on last week's show when we were talking about different styles of pizza around the country. And I had brought up specifically New Haven. A number of people lost their freaking minds. Specifically, one of our listeners in Rhode Island just absolutely went postal on the Jigs and Bigs hotline. So we included that. We got a crazy FTG this week that involves morons on the water shooting fireworks into the water and thinking that they're funny. That was an interesting one. We got pretty good just the tip that I don't know if any of you guys that are out there when you're fishing, if this happens to you, you look at the weather report and the conditions and you kind of create a plan based on that. Well, we talk about when Mother Nature decides to throw you a curveball and how to deal and how to handle what you're doing with it. It's a couple of tangents in there, but overall we make a pretty solid point. And then Joe has this amazing story, and I'm just gonna say you're gonna want to listen to the show. Joe's got this amazing story. He was out fishing with one of his sons on this was just yesterday actually, and I'm just gonna say that there were guns involved, and being at the wrong place at the wrong time. Give it a listen. I think you'll like it. But it's great episode this week. What else do we have going on? Oh, the October multi-species scavenger hunt registration is live. You guys can get on that. That's the last one of the year. October is the last month of the year for the scavenger hunt. So if you've been looking at, trying one of these, do it now, because it's going to be a long few months before we kick things back off in April. Can we do April? Yeah, I think April is when we're going to start. April through October is when the series runs. I don't know, I've toyed around with the idea of doing some ice stuff or including ice fishing in the multi-species scavenger hunt, where if, you wanted to get out there or you have open water, kind of have some fun with that. But I just don't know that the interest is there. There are a number of people who bring it up, but they haven't entered in some of the other stuff. So we got Binya in the house. They just paved a bunch of these roads, and on my way in I was on one of them, and now I'm not, and now it's because of the contrast, it stands out so much more. Coffee and beef live. Good start to my day. Well, it's Monday. I think any little win that we can get on a Monday is well deserved, and we should relish it as much as possible. But yeah, scavenger hunt series for October. September's about to wrap up after this week. It wraps up early next week. Slot limit tournament for fall. It's going to be a good time. For our jig heads, if you're one of the jig heads and you've been over to Patreon and you checked out the post, Boats and Scroats Part 2, Electric Boogaloo, happening on Columbus weekend, that weekend, during the slot limit tournament. It's it sort of sits right in the middle there, and it should be a damn good time. It's going to be a small group of us so far. So a couple of people who have expressed some interest, but nobody that's really kind of committed to it yet. So it'll be interesting, but regardless, it's going to be a blast, and there's going to be a ton of content made that week. Man, October's a wild month. I got St. Lawrence River coming up. That should be good. Did you see Janelle was in my state and didn't even come see me? Oh, wow. Yeah, I did see that, actually. It's funny. She had mentioned to me that she was going up there, and I just made the assumption that she was fishing with you. And I told her, I was like, yeah, we got plans to go and fish this reservoir that Binny and I kind of have to, settle the score with. And I was like, if you're around, you're more than welcome to join us. And she's like, oh, that sounds awesome. And then when, our plans obviously went to shit, it sounded, you know what it was? I remember exactly the reason why Somerset didn't happen. It's because over at Somerset, I have no cell service, and I'd send it, but I'd have to leave so early to get back to record with Hank. And by the way, Binya, that interview is so good this week. Recording on the boat was awesome. But again, it's tricky. I've got to, be able to record where I've got service to be able to connect. Unless, obviously, I have the guest in the boat. But I was really, really impressed with how the portable recorder worked out. It was really nice having all that USB power right at my, disposal, ready to rock. Oh yeah, seek alternate route. All right, we will. I did see a bunch of pics though from an enthusiast adventurer of the bus on the road, and dude, a bunch of indicator lights on her dash, check engine light, and it's just like, it drives me bananas when I see that. Oh my God. But I guess she's back in Jersey right now, and the trip went well. The bus did great, which I think is just freaking awesome. So I can't complain about that. I am really looking forward to Cayuga though. It's going to be a nice stretch of time on a fantastic body of water with some fantastic folks, camping, fishing, the whole deal, just having a great time. And I haven't seen Nick since last February, since the Columbus Fishing Expo. So it'd be great to catch up with him, have some cigars, do all of that stuff. I'm telling you, I don't think it's going to be as big of a group as we're hoping, at least from the folks that have committed. But I'll tell you what, the folks that we do have there are just absolute gems of human beings. So we're good to go. Cayuga is 100% going to be a blast. I've never fished it, and I kind of think what I want to do is get there early enough so that I can maybe pre-fish it on Friday, and then handle camp and everything, get out on Saturday and fish the tournament. I think actually what I might do, to be perfectly honest, with Cayuga is just drive, just take a cruise and find some spots that I might want to hit. So that way I'm not doing it completely blind. I can look for some laydowns. I can look for some depth. I can do all that on the map, but maybe make a little bit of a plan of, okay, so we're going to attack it this way. Hopefully they're chasing. That's what I'm hoping. But yeah, should be a good week this week. Next week's a busy one. I got 2 weddings back to back, a Friday, a Saturday. I got some stuff this week I got to do, like I want to drop off my dry cleaning, get all that stuff all handled. Got some running around to do, so a little bit of prep, but mainly most of that's going to be next week, and it should be pretty simple. I actually have one of these weddings I'm officiating as well, and the couple had asked me about doing something called an Irish blessing, which I guess they had found on TikTok, and that's kind of cool. So they want me to work it into the script that I have already, and I think I really like the bride had reached out and said that she had an idea of where to kind of place it. So I've got to toy around with that a little bit today and make sure that it fits. Of course, there's legal stuff that has to be in there in order for it to be valid. But I think what she wants, I think everything is going to check out perfectly. So that should be cool. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, Friday wedding, then a Saturday wedding. And then that week leading up to Cayuga, I'm in a good spot. Most of my gear is 100% prepped. I am not going to be bringing much for production gear. It's all going to be mobile stuff. All going to be mobile stuff. And yeah, we'll have ourselves a good time, man. Cayuga's going to be an absolute blast. Water temps around here have been, in the river, in the high 60s, which is pretty warm, I think. We've had some cold nights that have dropped down. I think last night it only got down to, about 50. We've had a handful of nights that have popped into the 40s. And I'm kind of expecting that they're going to be turning on soon as far as feeding up for the fall. So that spinnerbait and that bladed jig bite should be on. That, you know, they should be chasing cranks of various sizes. So I got a lot of confidence going into October. And September for me has not been terrible. I've caught a good amount of fish, a lot of them just the wrong species for what I need. Last Monday I had an amazing day out. That was my last video that I posted. Got on a bunch, managed to put a smallmouth into the scavenger hunt. I've been trying to track a smallie down for a little while. Just a weird day. You'll hear I go into detail a little bit on the podcast about where I was catching them. Was kind of surprising. Catching multiple species of black bass, but in bizarro sort of spots. So pretty interesting, pretty fun. I think really my prep for Cayuga is going to be mainly with making sure that like batteries are all charged, like for the drone and things like that, to make sure, you know, I want to be able to get as much good footage as I can. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to fish the tournament, and I just picked up something kind of new. It's a instead of using the chest mount for the GoPro, which I find completely uncomfortable, I found this. It's almost like a neck sort of camera mount where you put this band around your neck, and it's got the mounting gear for, you know, a GoPro, and it also has a phone mount, which is kind of nice because I'm able to put my phone there but keep my GoPro on the GoPro mount behind me to get that over the shoulder perspective, that wider image. And I don't love the phone layout 100%. Like, it's tough to kind of, I gotta take it off the mount and, you know, make sure it's recording, or set it, or adjust the view, whether I'm going, you know, 0.5 or 1, depending on what the situation is. But I think what I'm going to do is just use some clips there. So it's pretty sweet that now I've got really 3 different perspectives on the boat. I mean, I can change the GoPro position quite a bit. And then I've got the drone to give that third person, like, you know, bird's eye view. So this is pretty freaking sweet. Any word on new hats yet? Still waiting on that beanie. New hats, Dave. Which one are you looking for? Are you looking for the fold over one, or like the skull cap? I have been slowly integrating to a new supplier. So if you're having production issues and you're not getting that beanie's not showing up as available, or even worse, sometimes they'll put the sale through and they'll just wait until that color comes in, or, you know, that supplier has it. It's huge pain in the ass. I will I'll go through that new supplier, and maybe I'll do that today, actually, because I'll be in the office all day today. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Dave. And yeah, so if have you ordered already? If you haven't, wait, and I'll let you know. Well, I'll replace some of that stuff on the store. Yeah, that's one thing. Like, I gotta tell you, I don't love any of these specific merch providers. This latest one that I've got so far has been great, but the one before that I thought was great too. And, like, you know, eventually you just run into issues, and it sucks because with merch, I'm not in a position where I have the time to be able to warehouse everything and handle, like, the inventory. And then we also don't do enough for merch numbers where it would be worth it. No worries. Haven't ordered yet. Just saw the new style is awesome. Okay, cool. Nice. Yeah, I'll take a look. I don't think I've done a beanie yet, this new provider either. But, I mean, the new stuff, like the flat caps and the flat bills, the hoodies, and right up at the top of the page, like all that new stuff that's up there, even like the tie-dye shirts, that stuff is all available, and it's actually, the quality is pretty good. Like, I like it so far. I haven't had an issue with having orders processed or anything like that. It's all actually been pretty damn good. I just have to go and get some of the t-shirt designs that I used from our previous provider, because those right now it's a mix of different providers on the store. I am seriously considering changing up the website in a major way. Basically just making it like a link tree where everything is just on display, where you can get to the stuff that you want to get to. The only thing that I would need to do is keep the store, and that's why I think I'm going to keep that that page, just because that was a pain in the ass to set up. But it is nice now that we've got it. It's integrated right into the website and it's all right there. So yeah, I'll take a look at that. Maybe that's due for an overhaul too. I'd actually like to get rid of all the old designs, but there's some, like the Ditch Pickle Tickler shirt, the podcast Your Wife Loves. What else? There's a handful of other t-shirt designs. The Bernie's throwback design, like those are all with the old old designer, and I actually don't know that I have the artwork for those, so I might just eliminate a handful of items and just let them be those unique ones. Yeah, that might be the move. The new hoodies are great. I will say that much. I really like the quality of the new hoodies. Like even the drawstrings for them, they're a little bit more premium. I sent one to Brody, the winner of the last slot limit tournament. You have an 11-year-old kid who comes into a field of adults and humbles everybody by winning by a substantial number of fish. And you want to celebrate that kid and his abilities on the water as much as you can. So sent him a hoodie and a hat, and he was absolutely delighted. And now he is like a walking Jigs and Bigs billboard, because he's never pictured without his Jigs and Bigs gear. And I appreciate that. That's amazing. But man, I am so stoked to camp. This weather is so good. It's so good. And I'm thinking about bringing my tent up for this whole trek. I mean, it might be a little bit easier for me to just sleep in the truck. But if I bring the tent, I have like a nice area where like I can chill, you know? I could do actually quite a bit with that. I could set up, I have this small table that I used last winter when I camped with my wife to put the buddy heater on, and I'm not even gonna bother with that. I think I'll be fine without it. But I might use that table to set up my my coffee in the tent, so that way I can just get up first thing, make my coffee. I do need to go through my pantry box and update a few things too. So that's going to be a lot of the stuff that I'm doing as far as prep goes, with all that stuff. And I made a mention on the podcast yesterday about the YouTube channel. I'm trying to get more folks to subscribe, that are listening to the podcast, because, as a New England angler, as somebody further up north, like we truly have open water seasons. It gets to a point where the fishing gets like so painfully slow. And I try to get out there as often as I can, especially, fishing, small rivers and creeks with BFS gear for trout, all types of different species. Like I was fishing last February, so I get out anytime that I can. As long as we've got open water to fish, I'm going to be out there, not super crazy, but I'm going to be out there as much as I can, bundle up, the whole nine. And now having, I'll be able to record some of these bank sends and use that. But the YouTube channel is really supposed to be like a behind the scenes of Jigs and Bigs. So the podcast is like the flagship spot where you're going to get the like Jigs and Bigs style content, all that stuff. And then the YouTube is a counterpart to that. And then beyond that is our Instagram and Facebook, where it's a little bit less of like content, like long form that you could take and absorb. And that's where all like the quick stuff shows up, photo drops and reels, memes that we share and things like that. And the stories, obviously, and that goes for Facebook as well. TikTok, like I've been trying to get into TikTok at various stages, and it just never clicks. It's just, I don't know. I just don't see the engagement over there as much as I do, and I'm not on it. To be perfectly honest, I'm not on TikTok enough to be able to do my part as far as sharing and commenting and liking and things like that to get people, to kind of engage with the app itself. That's what all this stuff is with social media. It's one thing to post and put great stuff out there, but if you're not engaging with folks, you're not doing anything. That's why at the end of every podcast, I always say to everybody I come across, I'm like, make sure to tag us in your pics. If you're putting, content out there on Instagram or on Facebook, tag us in there so that we can give you a like, a comment, and then share your stuff as well. So that this way I'm helping, to engage the folks that are engaging us. And it's a little bit of it actually is a little bit of a reminder of when I see this stuff, instead of just having to scroll through the, because it makes life easier. Because my, my my feed of who I'm following and everything is a mess. It eliminates the ads. That's really what it is. It eliminates the ads. So this way I get notifications that, hey, these 3 folks tagged you in a post. I go and make a comment, I share it, I like it, and I save it. Dave says, I love to hit the river in the winter with a fly rod. It's so peaceful, even catching 5-inch brookies. Dude, 5-inch brookies are a blast. They fight like crazy on light gear. They're unbelievable. And I'm telling you, this is one of the major reasons why I love BFS so much. When I do these bank sends, primarily I'm only taking that rod. But the rod that I'm using is so ridiculously versatile. I found there may be other stuff out there, and I will be adding another BFS to the family. There is a Daiwa, this Tatula BFS reel that Topless Timmy Jakes is just raving about. He's like, you got to try this. And, I was considering putting it on another Majestic XT. But then I was also debating, I'm like, I should fool around and try some other stuff as well. Maybe get into like the really ultralight format. Right now I'm using a light setup. Maybe, I don't know. We'll have to play around with that. But that is especially in winter. Single rod, I'm able to throw a variety of different presentations. This winter I have some really finessey jerk baits, floating jerks that are unbelievable, and I think that they might perform well in some of these. Got a 5-inch ultralight rod, which is fun. Exactly. Ultralight is a blast. My dad will come out with me on the boat, and he'll bring 2 ultralights and this one medium cash-in, like your typical bass spinning rod. And he'll bring those out, and man, I'll tell you, like, he's catching panfish or small perch. Hasn't gotten any like yet. Like a stalker rainbow, a 12-inch stalker rainbow, and that's amazing. He's just gonna be freaking killing it. So for me, and again, like a lot of people like ask all the time, they're like about BFS. They say, well, do you need BFS to do such and such? For me, it's a preference, just because fishing with a spinning rod all day long, and especially in the cold, it's even worse. Just like carpal tunnel, like I get some pain in my hand. With the BFS, I can hold the bait cast reel, and it's a lot more comfortable. Man, I love it, absolutely love it. And this year, I've caught so many fish with these ultralight tactics, and it's been an absolute blast, and like some big fish too. 4-inch brown that I caught in April was on my BFS setup. 4-pound leader, like unbelievable. And I probably could go and get away with going even a little bit lighter. Oh, all right, guys, back at the hacienda. Got to get some coffee in me and start the process. I will see you guys, Dave. I'm gonna go and take a look at that merch situation today. And thanks again, everybody. I appreciate you, hanging out and jumping into this little Monday morning live. Check out the show. It drops on all podcast platforms, even here on YouTube. Check it out there. It'll be there by tomorrow morning at the latest. We'll see you guys.